because I just think it was a mistake. I don't think there's just no, I just can't imagine Tim's point, this scenario where Gilbert, who's offering to burn 10 million tokens based on goodwill and keeping the faith and knows and he's the most regulated dude ever. And he understands the blockchain can trace every single thing. And he's going to go and be like, let's just put some on the side for us and not talk about it. Yeah, right. Like he's not. So
273,000 tokens.
Yeah, exactly. I think somebody just made a fucking mistake.
Ladies and gentlemen, Quamrads, welcome. Today we have a special episode. It's January 18th, 2023. And as you can see, we have Greg Lunt on the show right now. We're going to discuss the Quant token supply. Both Greg and Sebastian have been doing some research last year, and they found that the token supply is not 14.6 million, but it's actually 14.9. And there are some details, there was some discussion. So we're really happy to have Greg on the show. And he made a wonderful presentation that's going to illustrate how you can find the facts for yourself and how we came to the numbers that were and now to the numbers that are. Now, Greg, welcome. Good to have you back. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Jarno. Hey, Tim. It's been a while. I don't remember when I was on. It was probably in like August or something like that, September. Had a really good time, you guys. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad Quamfy Show is kicking, and it's much needed. And I know with like a sensitive topic like this, it's nice to have a bit of a neutral platform to come and just share the research and allow people to do what they will with it. And we'll talk a little bit, I'm sure, at the end about what we think about it. But ultimately, my goal here is just to share what I found, and then let everybody ask questions, and we'll figure it out together, kind of what the next step is. But yeah, I mean, anything else you guys want to say, or do you want me to jump right into this stuff?
No, maybe just we'll just get to the research and let the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, the discussion has already been beaten to death on multiple channels, and now it's time to show the people how you guys got to the conclusions that you presented, and why. So, if Tim, do you have anything to add, maybe?
No comments, really. Glad to have you back, Greg.
Yeah,
it's been a while. I still remember your question about whether cereal is soup or not. Anyway, let's kick it off.
Yeah, let's do it.
If cereal is soup, was that the question?
Let's not go into that discussion, guys.
That's going to be the introduction.
I asked Tim that on the podcast. I asked you, Jarno, a bunch of, remember the lightning round kind of stuff we did?
Yeah.
It's one of my questions for Tim, I think.
It was.
But yeah, so for those of you that were in the Twitter Spaces yesterday, some of this information will overlap, but this is going to be a much deeper dive because there's going to be a ton of visuals involved. I'm going to be going into the blockchain data. I'm going to be sharing screenshots from the business paper, from the Telegram conversations. This is basically going to be like the whole shebang. So there will be, like I said, there will be some overlapping information, but this is going to be the deep dive you're looking for.
If I may interrupt really quickly, for the podcast listeners, we will do our best to talk you through, and Greg will also make an effort to as much as that can be seen on the screen that is relevant, so you don't miss out too much. But if you want to get the full experience, go to thequamfyshow.com or go to the YouTube channel, and you can find everything laid out there. Was there also, did I understand correctly, Greg, an accompanying document that you were sharing on your drive?
Everything that I talk about here is going to be in the show notes. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll follow along here on screen. And then if there's any of these materials that you want to dive into yourself, I will be forwarding them all over to Jarno and Tim. A lot of them are hosted, like Jarno suggested, on a public Google Drive, and then other ones that are just like links to the blockchain or to Medium articles or whatever. All those links will be there for you guys to do your own due diligence. So you don't have to trust me. You can go look for yourself. So the other thing I just want to say before we start is that I have the utmost respect for Gilbert Verdian, for the Quant team, for what they're doing. This is in no way intended to be like gotcha, like kind of thing. This is supposed to be, basically I just came across this when I was doing some on-chain analysis, and it was puzzling to me. And the more I dug, the further I realized that a mistake might have been made. And so what I'm doing is just presenting the information that I found. I'm more than willing to admit that I made a mistake. There may be something that I'm not seeing. I may have done incorrect math. There's a whole slew of reasons I could be wrong here. I'm just going to present, the information as I see it, and then we'll go from there.
Comrades, apologies for the interruption and this continuity nightmare. While we were editing the video, we noticed that the video quality of the screen recordings was pretty terrible. So Greg suggested to re-record the entire meat and potatoes of this video for your benefit. So the following part will be Greg alone presenting everything that he's found. At the end, the discussion Tim, Greg, and I had will still be there. And you already seen the intro. So apologies, and we still hope that you enjoy the content. Stay Quamfy.
Yo, what's up everybody? This is Greg Lunt, and today I'm going to be recording a video for the Quamfy Show where we break down quant supply and why I strongly believe that the supply is 14.88 million and not 14.6 million. So I did a Twitter Spaces on this on Thursday, January 19th. You can find that on my Twitter feed at GregLunt27, and it kind of walks you through all these different links and we talk through it. But I'm going to do that today in video form as well. So some of you are more visual learners. This does have a bunch of numbers in it, so it's kind of easier to follow along this way. And so it's basically the same information. If you did listen to that space, you're probably not going to learn a whole lot new, but you might digest a little bit easier and it might stick. So if we just go ahead and start here, we're looking at the Quant business paper, section 5.2 and 5.3, okay? That's what's on your screen right here. So if we just start off on 5.3 at the bottom, you can see that the initial QNT that will be issued, this is, before anything happened with the project. This is the original business paper from March 2018. The allocation was going to be 68% was sold to the public in the market, and the remaining 31.8% will be kept by Quant Network. Okay, so that's the split, essentially 68-32. Now, it's a hard cap, 45.467 million. You can see right here. What that means is that as they do the token sale, or the ICO, the initial coin offering, they're going to sell as many as they can, and it may not reach the full amount. So they have if everything were to sell out, that's the hard cap, it'd be 45.467 million quant. Okay, and in that case, 31% of it would go to the public, and 14.467 would go to the team. And that's in line with the allocation here of 68% and 32%, right? So similarly, if they didn't sell out all the way, there's a mid cap and a soft cap, which are also, these kind of thresholds for the overall supply of 45.46. If only 23 were to be reached in the sale, then the split would be 16 and 7.467 between the public and the team. And then they have this mid cap threshold as well. If they were to cross the 35.75 million overall, it would go to 24 to the public and 11 to the team. So this basically just shows you that 45.467 million is the total maximum supply for the sale. And in that case, 31 million of it would go to the public. Okay. Now, one other thing to really keep in mind here is this highlighted bullet point here in section 5.2 that says, In case of the maximum funding cap of 31 million tokens not being reached, that's this hard cap for the public to buy, right? If the public doesn't fully buy the 31 million, tokens distributed, bounty, quant team, ecosystem reserve, this is like the team allocation, right? The tokens distributed to the team is proportional to the number of QNT generated during the token generation event. So they're essentially reiterating this here, that if it doesn't reach this, we will still keep in line proportionally our 32% to the public's 68%. Okay? So this is their business paper basically outlining the proportion of tokens. So visually, to represent that, this is kind of what they wanted to happen, right? Public 68% in black, Quant network 32% in orange. This is what everyone was anticipating that was participating in the ICO. What actually happened? Well, the public didn't sell out. They didn't sell out the 31 million. In fact, they only sold around 10 million tokens, okay? So that basically leaves this entire gray area as tokens that weren't sold. And that's fine. The problem is that what Quant ended up doing is instead of reallocating their orange portion right here to be 32% of the sold amount, they just went ahead and printed the same amount, right? This 14.467 million, this area of the pie chart, the same chart that's here. They just printed that amount anyway and left the public with this amount. And then these were just never printed in gray. So what ended up happening, if you kind of like reallocate this orange and black to the whole circle, this is what happened. So the public ended up with 40% of the supply and Quant Network ended up with 60%. Okay, so if we go to the Telegram, we can go back in time here to June 2018. This is 3 days after the ICO. I can zoom in a little bit more here. And Gilbert comes to the Telegram and he basically updates everybody on what happened. And he says, hey guys, we had a forecast for 45.467 million. We only sold around 10 million. And then this section doesn't really matter. And he says, what is the total supply now? 24,431,000. Okay. And again, that is these two things combined. This 10 million and this 14.5 million, that's 24.5 million, right? So he says that right here, the total supply is 24.5. And that's basically what he says. He reiterates the area of the business paper that says 68 to 32, which, you know, it doesn't exactly back that up. So the community starts to kind of push back and, oh, you're moving away from the proportional burn. And he goes, no, it's always been proportional to the 45.467, the total supply. He's saying Quant's proportion is always the 32% of that, not 32% in line with the public amount. And so there's basically a 2-hour conversation that goes down here. I've truncated it here a bit. So you can read this. The link's going to be in the description below on the Quamfy Show. But you can also find the full conversation. There's going to be a link that'll take you into the Telegram itself. And you can read that raw, unedited convo. I didn't edit any of these messages, but I removed messages that were kind of just filler or you know, didn't matter. But you can read everything as it stands in the Telegram itself from 2018. It's, you know, the actual conversation. So that link is also in the description. But basically what happens is the community starts citing section 5.2, the part that said if the maximum funding cap of 31 million is not reached, the quant team allocation will be proportional to the number of QNT generated during the token generation event. Okay. So again, they go up and back. They kind of all make their points. It's an interesting read if you are interested. But what ends up happening is Gilbert leaves after a couple of hours, and the community talks amongst itself all evening, and it gets a little bit heated. And in the morning, Gilbert comes back about 8 hours later, and he says this: we are not happy with the ambiguity caused in the wording in the business paper regarding the company allocation. We value our community and the positive spirit we have been operating in. We've decided to clear the misunderstandings and set the company allocation to be against the number of tokens sold, that 10 million number that the public had, still in line with our regulatory approval. We will burn what was minted to reflect this. This doesn't change our roadmap and approach. Okay, so what he's saying here is we're going to go ahead and burn 2/3 essentially of our supply, the company supply, so that we bring it back in line with the 68% public, 32% team. So that's a really awesome selfless move by Gilbert and the team to show commitment to the community and to do the right thing. Understanding that the business paper was worded in an awkward way. Gilbert understood it as one way, the public understood it as another, but it was pretty much consensus on the people that were buying the token in the public sale that, look, this is supposed to be 68.32. And the next morning, Gilbert came back and said, all right, we're going to burn as many as we need to in order to reset that allocation. So we'll burn our tokens. And one thing that we should point out here is that he initially notes that the new total supply, instead of that 24.5, about 24.4 million, it's now 14.6 million. That's what it's going to be after we do the burn. Okay. So just look here though, it says 14.610. Now, why is that interesting? Well, let's fast forward 3 months. Okay. So this is the announcement of the burn and what they're going to do. This is back in June. And then you fast forward 3 months to September 2018, Quant releases this article, okay, on Medium. And it says, we did the burn. We did the burn on Friday, September 14th, 2018. This is how many tokens we burned. And here's the new supply, 14.612 million. But right here it says 14.610 million. Okay. Not a big deal necessarily, but just want to point that out, that the math that was being done, people make mistakes, right? People make mistakes. And as much as we trust everything that Quant is doing and we believe in them and everything's buttoned up all the time, sometimes little things happen and little mistakes are made. So this is one mistake. It doesn't really matter in my opinion here, because 14.612493, this number right here, this should be the real supply. I agree with this as the supply, and I'll show you why. Let's just open up a new tab here, and I'm going to go to a calculator. So if you take the number that the public bought, right? So this is the amount that the public purchased, that almost 10 million in the public sale. If we take that and we put it in the calculator, oh, it doesn't let you paste. All right. So we'll just do it from, I'll look at it from here. So it says 9964259. The way that you can reverse engineer this number to figure out what should the new total supply be, if that's going to be 68% of what the supply should be, then how do we figure out the total supply? Well, you divide by 0.6819, and that is equivalent to 68.19%, right? So if you divide it by that and hit equals, you have 14,612,493, right? This number right here, 14,612,493. So that's correct. And then you just subtract what the public has from the total and you get what the team should have. Okay, that all makes sense. So in that case, well, we'll get to this in a second. So that's what they say. The other things that they say in this article that are really important, okay? Number one, we've contacted Etherscan and informed them that their total supply reflects the theoretical supply directly from the smart contract. So Etherscan says 45.467 million, that initial supply that they wanted to sell out at, that hard cap. Because they didn't reach it, and the smart contract has that hard coded as the supply, they needed to reach out to Etherscan and say, hey, can you put a note in the contract? And I can actually show you that note real quick. If we go to the info here on the Quant smart contract, look at the bottom. There's a burn information, and it says company. Oh, actually, they've put in an interesting number here. They say total supply. So this is actually wrong also. That's funny because it says the company has that much amount, but that's actually what the total amount was. So the Etherscan, so you can, basically the point is that this is manually punched in. So if you go to like the Etherscan contract and you just hit info, let me try from here because I seem to remember that it was right. Maybe I'm looking at it at a different one right now. Let's go here and then back out to the token. So I remember it actually being correct in the info, according to what Quant had told them. No, okay, interesting. So yeah, the info amount is wrong. So that's kind of just the point that this was done manually, right? And then the other thing they say is that they've also talked to CoinMarketCap and other token listing sites to ensure that the accurate information is supplied. So why is that important? It's important because we now know that every single place where the 14.612 million is listed, that came directly from Quant themselves. So it was from Gilbert in the Telegram saying, here's the new supply. It's from this Medium article that announces the supply. It's from CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko if you go check the total supply. And it's on Etherscan in the info tab. So there's really nowhere else that we've ever gotten a 14.612. Those are the areas, and those all came from Quant themselves. This was all on Quant's word. There was no actual validation or verification of that number. It just came from the team. So one other thing really quick to note about this article is they say that the way to burn properly is to send to the smart contract address itself. Most people, according to them, send tokens to get burned by sending them to the Ethereum Genesis block. Okay? And we'll talk about what that is in a moment. But they say people send to the Genesis block and, quote, by them, this is not really a burn. Okay? It's transferring it to an address we don't know anything about. Someone may hold the private keys. It's very unlikely. But they're saying because of our cybersecurity background, the best way to do it is to send it to the smart contract address itself. So they send the tokens to the QNT smart contract. And that way no one can ever access it. It's not a wallet, it's a contract. So there's no keys that anyone can get to, they're burned. Okay? So just remember that there's this other way that people are burning stuff that they don't think is right. So now that we know that the 14.612 are only from Quant, that number came from Quant, and every resource that we have that we cite is from Quant themselves. Well, there's one other place that isn't saying 14.612, and it's the Ethereum blockchain. The blockchain, the immutable ledger, actually says something different. So if we go here and we go to, let's see, I clicked off this before to search around for the info tab. Here, this should work. My mistake. I clicked the wrong button. Okay, so now we are in what you're looking at here. This is the Quant Smart Contract page on Etherscan, and it's filtered by the Ethereum Genesis block. So the Ethereum Genesis block is the first ever block on Ethereum, and what it does partially is it mints tokens for ERC20 tokens like QNT. So when you publish a smart contract to Ethereum and you mint and generate tokens, this is the block, this Genesis block, right? You know how you have like a contract address? Look at this, or like your wallet, your Ethereum wallet looks something like this long string of numbers and letters. Well, look at what the Ethereum Genesis blocks contract is, right? It's literally the first block. It's 0x00000000, 40 zeros. Okay. So this Genesis block mints tokens and instantly sends them to any smart contract that you tell it to. All right. So what happened here is if we filter the Quant smart contract by the Genesis block, what we have here is a list of people that received tokens, contract or wallets that received tokens straight from the source per the token generation event, right? So everyone that bought in the ICO received tokens during this token generation event. And you can see the date here. Every single one of the transactions is from June 25th, 2018. And there's 25 pages. And even if we go to the last page, and this is in chronological order, we're still on June 25th, 2018. So every single transaction that ever took place from the Genesis block minting QNT tokens and sending them out happened on that day in this filter right here. So there's a total of 608 transactions found. So The easiest way to tell how many tokens were created in total is we can download this. Okay, so I'm going to hit download CSV export off of Etherscan. We have to put in the dates. We have a really crappy UI here, so bear with me as I choose the date. June 25th to June 25th. We already saw that all those were in that range, and the reason that I'm specifying it is because they make you, it kind of lags out if you don't choose a really small date range. It even says right here, to avoid 30-second timeout, select a small date range. This might even time out anyway, because this kind of like, sometimes it times out, sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully this goes right through. So I'm basically just downloading all those transactions we just looked at, all the ones from June 25th, 2018. There we go. So on the bottom here, I'm going to open this in Excel directly from Etherscan, directly from the Ethereum blockchain. I'm just going to open up these columns so they're all readable. And then if we look over here, we see the quantity column. So this is how much each of these is a different wallet, right? Every transaction. And so I'm going to just select all the quantities. And if you look here at the bottom, you can see 21,431,000, right? Another way to do that is to just do this equals sum, and I can do a formula here where I just sum up all of these again, hit enter, and again 24,431,259. So this is how many tokens were minted in the token generation event. And what's good about that, the reason that we like that and we can verify that is because if we look back at, bear with me, sorry. If we look back at Gilbert's Telegram comment, remember we saw 24,431,259. Same number. Great. So we just verified on the blockchain that the amount of tokens that they said that they minted is correct. So that's awesome. So now the next thing that we want to do is we want to subtract what's in the burn wallet, right? Because if we have all the tokens that were ever created and then we subtract all the tokens that were ever burned, that should give us the total amount in circulation, right? It's pretty simple. So if we go to the Quant Smart Contract and we go to the Holders tab, this is all wallets, okay, for Quant as of currently, right this second. And it's ordered by the amount that are in the wallet. And this biggest wallet right here, this is the burn wallet. Remember they said they send them to the smart contract address itself. So this number right here, this is the amount that's in the burn wallet today. And what's interesting about this total is that it's made up of two different things. Number one, we're going to scroll really quick to the last page here. So number one, this is the burn. This was the burn on September 14th, 2018, 9.545, right? And that's confirmed in the Medium article, 9.545. So this transaction right here, this is the burn. So what are all these other ones? These are people making mistakes. 3-4 years of people sending, oops, I sent from Coinbase. These are from LCX, from Bittrex. These are people that, you know, they bought a quant, they bought 5 quant, and then they didn't know how to send to their wallet. And they probably just Googled like quant wallet, right? Ethereum wallet. And then they found the address and they like sent it to it or something. And so all of these are mistakes. So the total that this has, this 9,549,000, it's about 4,000 more tokens than the burn. Okay. But I want to just take the burn for a sec, because that's what's important when we're calculating at this stage. I want to take this number right here, the burn number. It's actually 0.95, right? So we're just going to take that. And this number we should subtract from the 24 million. And sorry, this is in the way on my screen. This number right here is the total, right? And then if we paste in this number, which is the burn, we subtract this number minus this number equals. So we get 14.885 million tokens. This is the total circulating supply. Now, of course, we can go back and to my point just a moment ago, we can take the actual total as well, right? Including those other 4,000 tokens. And we can also, gotta look again. We can take that total as well, and we can look at the total amount ever created. So equals the total amount ever created minus what's in the burn wallet today. Also, right, it's just 4,000 less, like I said. So this is 14.885. This is 14.881. So what are we looking at? This is actually, as of today, this one right here, the total supply. And that's because we took the total tokens ever made and we subtracted the total tokens ever burned. The only thing that maybe we're missing here is there's another burn wallet that we don't know about. And maybe that can get us to the 14.612 that Quant said is the total, and that is now listed on all these different sites. Maybe there's another burn wallet. Well, if you go to the Genesis block, right? Because remember, they said that the other burn wallet, the other possibility, the place that people burn is on the Genesis block. And if we go to that wallet, we can go to the assets and wallet and we can search. We can search for QNT. And we give this a second to search to see if there's any QNT that was burned in this wallet. Because if it's sent here, you pretty much can't get it either. And Jeopardy music. No assets found for this address. Okay. So essentially we have the one burn wallet. Okay. We have the one burn wallet, and that only has, if you subtract that total, you're getting 14.881392. So as of today, this is the circulating supply. And there's one other way that we can capture that and validate that. There's a couple other ways. There's two other blockchain explorers. One is called Blockchair and one is called OKLink. These were the only two block explorers that I found outside of Etherscan that allow you to download wallet data into an Excel file to be able to manipulate. And those will be in the link in the comments. I'm not going to go through that right here, but in the description, you'll be able to go into those blockchain explorers as well. And also, dig into that if you'd like. But here's, there's a website called Dune. And Dune actually allows you to pull data from the Ethereum blockchain and query it using SQL. And SQL is a coding language. So someone has written this short SQL code that essentially takes all the values of all the wallets, subtracts the burn address, and it's getting the same number. 14.881.391. I believe I got 14.881.392 here because there's a 0.6 at the end. I think if I stretch this out. Oh no, okay. So I don't know why it's one off, but it's one off. But it's the same number. It's 14.881. Okay. So there's also a website called sentiment.net where Sebastian, someone from the community, also got a chart that essentially did the same thing. And if I didn't mention it earlier, the Blockchair and OKLink also give you the same data. So we found this 14.881 million. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to people in the community and see what they think. So I asked Ghost of St. Miklos, I asked Quantidian, I asked Hungarian Horntail, I asked Jeff Quantify, and I asked Yarno. This is back in October of 2022. And I said, hey guys, one by one, I messaged them and I was like, here's what I found. Here's the data. Here's how you can figure it out for yourself. Do you know, how could this be? How could this possibility be that we're getting 14.88 on the blockchain, even though 14.612 is the supply, right? And basically everyone in their own way said, hey, Greg, this is pretty interesting, but I don't really know what to tell you. I don't have the answer. I don't know. And that's kind of where that ended. So at that point, I reached out to the team. I said, before I start talking about this in public and potentially creating FUD, let me ask the team if maybe they can clear this up. Okay. And so what I did was I emailed Andrew Carrier and Rebecca Hackworth. And this is the Chief Marketing Officer and Head of Communications at Quant. They both follow me on Twitter and have retweeted some of my content. And I even had a small email exchange with Andrew in the past. So I figured these are my warmest contacts at the company. And so you can read through this email yourself. But basically what I did was I said the same thing that I just told you guys, right? I said the accepted supply is 14.612. We know that from this place, and this place. However, Ethereum, you can click here, and basically if you subtract the burn total from the minted total, you get 14.881. At the time, it was a little different, again, because less people had made mistakes over the last couple of months. More people have sent. So it's a little off. But at the time, this is what it was. And I said, is there any clarity you can provide around this discrepancy, etc.? And I didn't get a response. So a week later, I messaged them again, following up. And then I got this response the next day on November 8th from Andrew. Hi, Greg. We don't comment on the QNT token price, supply, or trading. We remain focused on unlocking the power of blockchain for financial institutions, enterprises, and the technology partners and fintech developers who support them. So he basically just said no comment. We don't have a comment on your findings. Okay, we don't talk about supply here at Quant. So at that point, I felt like I was slightly out of options, and I wasn't in a rush to tell anybody just because I understood how much backlash I was going to get for this. And I was trying to figure out what the proper approach was. And I thought, okay, I'm probably just going to email Gilbert at some point and let him know that I'm going to be releasing this and give him a chance to respond directly. But by this time, the holidays were creeping up. I was doing a lot of traveling, and it wasn't really a priority for me, to be honest. And so it kind of got lost for a few weeks. And then last week in early January, Sebastian, who I mentioned earlier, posted his findings in the Quamfy Lounge on Telegram. And people started talking about this 14.88 million. And I was like, okay, I think now is the right time. I've been thinking about this for many months. And I think that I need to put together something that can illustrate why this has happened and could present it to the community and or at least verify it, show that the blockchain is correct, and so that we can come to a consensus in the community, even if the team doesn't want to respond. But because I told myself I'm going to email Gilbert, I still thought that was the right response. It had been a couple of months now. And so I sent Gilbert an email last week, and I'm not going to share that exact email here just because he hasn't responded and I don't want to put that out just yet. But it essentially says the same thing. It says, hey, it was basically a request for comment. I approached it a bit as a journalist, and I just said, Gilbert, I'm working on a story around quant supply, and I'm reaching out for comment. And here's my research. And have I made a mistake? And do you have anything that you'd like to add to this story? And no response yet. It's been about a week and a half. I'm not anticipating a response, but if he does, I will let you all know. Now, what happened was I decided, all right, I'm going to start a Twitter space. I let Gilbert know the date of the Twitter space, which is about a week out. In this case, it was just this past Thursday, and it went really well. And I scheduled that, and then I was also invited here on the Quamfy Show. And we originally, me, Jarno, and Tim, did a live recording of this presentation, but it didn't go exactly as planned because we had some screen sharing issues, and there was some lag, and it just got a little sloppy. So I figured, hey, I will record this one-off on my own and send them the file after, and then they can weave this into the video you're watching right now. And in preparation for that conversation and live attempt that we had last week, I discovered something that I had not been able to discover this whole time, which was, what we had discovered was the supply was different, right? And that was pretty much confirmed according to the blockchain. What I hadn't figured out is why and where did those tokens go and how did they get misplaced? And I found it. I found the tokens. So if you look over here, we had, remember we had, this is the amount that got burned, right? And this is the total amount. Okay. So if you, sorry, one other number we're missing here to do this quick math for you is the 14.612. So what we want to look at is this number right here. This is the reported supply, and this is the actual supply, right, at the time of the burn. Okay. And so if we subtract this minus, or oops, other way around. If we subtract this minus this, well, I didn't take the decimals. I want you guys to see this because it's important. So I'm going to take the whole thing and I'm going to put it in instead of just the round number. Okay. So I'm going to take this number, which is the total amount ever created minus the burn wallet, right? So this is the circulating supply minus what they told us the circulating supply is, and hit enter. It's basically, it's 273,000 on the dot, right? 0.000 and then change because of just extra decimal places. It's 273,000 tokens exactly. Okay. Why is that important? Well, this is what I figured out when I was preparing for the Quamfy Show. This message from September 14th, 2018, this is the day of the token burn. Gilbert came in and basically confirmed with the community. He said, hey, everyone, the public bought around 10 million. That's 68%. So in order to equal that up, the 31, if we were to take 31.81, that would give us this much. So if we take the company amount, which I agree with, this amount, this is how much the company should have. Let's subtract that from what we do have, and that'll give us how much we need to burn. Except the number that they said they do have is 14.194 million. And I had never seen this number before, and I was like, why do they say they have 14.194 million when we can go back to this and we know that they had 14.467 million. That was their allocation. And we can even see that on the blockchain. This was the token generation event. Remember, we did the Quant address filtered by the Ethereum Genesis wallet to see all of the minting transactions. Well, look, this is what they minted for themselves. They minted 14.467. So why, when calculating the burn, are they saying 14.194? And then it hit me. If you take 14.467 million, is that right? Yeah. And then you subtract 14.194. I didn't put an extra zero there. The difference between those two, 273,000 tokens. The same amount, that's the difference between what there is and what they said there was as the total. So that is what, so this exact moment here, the burn, the decision to burn from this as the company representative value, when in fact it was 14.467, this is the moment that the 273,000 tokens went unaccounted for in perpetuity until this moment. Okay? So that's one part of it, is we've identified the moment that it happened. It was because they didn't subtract from the correct number. And so therefore they did not burn enough. And so there's this extra amount that stayed in circulation. Okay? Then the question is, after that, is why? Okay? And here we have, again, this is the wallet that received the 14.467 million from the token generation event. Okay, so back here you can see there's the Ethereum Genesis block, And this is the wallet it received 14.467 million tokens. All right. So this is the initial Quant team wallet from day one. Okay. And here we see the burn. We see that they burned 9.545765. That matches up with what they said here. 9545765. Same as Gilbert said here. 9545765. Right. So we have what they minted for themselves and then how much they burned for themselves. But there's these 3 other transactions in between June 2018 when they minted and September 2018 when they burned. And it's 124, 124, and 25. And can you guess, if you add those up, can you guess how much that is? If I did equals sum these 3, enter. 273,000 tokens. So what we see here is that Quant minted 14.467 million tokens for themselves. Then they moved 273,000 tokens into these 3 wallets. And we can dive into these wallets and start doing some more exploration. I think that's a conversation for another day. Or you can go ahead and do that yourself. The link to this exact wallet will be in the description below. I'm not here to speculate at the moment. I'm just here to report these facts, okay? Once they burned, they only calculated the burn based on the fact that they said basically that they didn't own these tokens, that they weren't their tokens. However, they seem to have captured some value from this, whether they run these wallets and they're just running them from other wallets and doing what they have to, or they sent it to a partner or a client, like whoever they sent it to, there was some other business operation that took place using these tokens. So one way or another, these tokens were used by the company, and then when they burned, they acted as if they had never touched these and they didn't exist. Okay. So I'm not saying that it was malicious intent. I'm not saying anything like that. What I'm saying is that's what happened. They didn't count these tokens when they calculated the burn amount. Now, one thing I will look at in these 2 addresses, just to show you, is that without like tracking the tokens too far, I just want to show you that there still is, in this one, there's 54,000 tokens left about. And in this one, there's still about 3,600 tokens. Okay. So we're talking about, what is that? About 58,000 tokens, equivalent to about $8 million of QNT that has gone unaccounted for since the dawn of this project that is still in these wallets. Okay. So that's pretty much what I've got for you today. I believe the Quamfy Show is going to weave in some of our conversation that we had after I presented this to them live. We then had a bit of a breakdown about what we thought about it. So I'll just let Jarno and Tim cut to that right now. And hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, all the links are in the description below, and we'll go back to the conversation now.
This is it. This is 14.88 is the supply. 14.881. You can get more precise. I forget the exact number. And the 273,000 tokens has been found.
Yeah. So they most likely ran their burn numbers off the initial numbers that they had, and they did.
Oh, can you cancel my screen share now, and then we can just go back to Zoom?
Yeah. So they either did or did not know. I mean, it to me it seems like a quant thing to just go with the numbers that you thought you knew, that somebody else then moved tokens away, and that they just forgot. It's like post a tweet, remove the tweet, repost it again with the same typo, and then remove it again. Or is this different? You feel different?
I don't know. It's too speculative to say.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, all I know is that the team used those 273,000 tokens or are still in the process of using them. And that's basically all I can say for sure. I don't know when Gilbert posted the 14.1 whatever as the number to subtract from. I don't know if that was knowingly or mistakenly or how that was calculated. I don't know anything. I just know that the team used those unless there's an explanation for that, which is fine. I'm sure there is a great explanation for what they did with the 273. It doesn't change the fact that we have a different supply. We definitely have a different supply.
Yeah,
so
there's no doubt.
That's it. I just put this out as part of, the deep research that I enjoy doing. And I think this is sound research.
It is, for sure.
And now the thing is, this probably won't get as much views probably as it maybe should, because it's a little technical and it's a little boring for some people. And ultimately, and we can maybe talk a little bit about what this means now that there's more supply and why it matters. Some people said, well, why does it matter? It doesn't matter. 14.88, 14.61, it's the same thing. And yeah, I would say like generally that's true. Mm-hmm. When you look squarely at, is this going to impact like the supply so much that the token price is going to be diluted or something like that? I don't think so. I think, you're still looking at the same kind of flywheel tokenomic effects, capped supply, low supply, all that type of thing. Where I do think it might matter is if you fast forward 10 years from now, 7 years from now, we all believe that this is going to be the next big thing, right? The whole basis of this is that we believe trillions of dollars will be flowing on this network. Yep. And we believe that this token has a chance to reach a 5-figure token price. The math supports that.
Absolutely.
So if that's the case, and there's 273,000 tokens that are unaccounted for, and we're all hosting gateways, taking transactions on $10 trillion of daily flows of dollars. And we're expecting a certain percentage of that to come to our gateway, but we're operating off incorrect supply totals. We're talking about billions of dollars of unaccounted for money that should be split up between gateways that's getting either, that's basically not like all the accounting goes out the window, not out the window, but it's incorrect accounting for people that are not only running gateways, but think about like second order business models that are going to be built on the OVN that are reliant on QNT to supply liquidity for their data networks or their marketplaces or whatever they end up building. And it's based on a certain supply count. And once the volume gets to a high enough point, you can't just have 2% of the supply that no one even knows exists. Like you need to be working off real numbers. So I think real numbers are important, especially at scale. Imagine if someone today said, there's 270,000 more Bitcoin than we thought. That's kind of like relevant, like that.
How many other Mt. Gox people are crying over that every fucking month?
Bro, if you have 270,000 tokens at 15K a pop, that's over $4 billion worth of money. That can change markets. That can do a lot of things. So it is relevant. You know what I mean? It is relevant. We should know what the numbers are. I mean,
we know what the numbers are. The blockchain just told us.
This whole thing is about trust, verify. That's the whole fucking game. And so that's what we did here.
I agree. Yeah. Well, and I liked, for simplicity, by the way, just going back to the way that stuff can be found, that Dune format. And I know it's all scribbly letters and command code and stuff, but that just clearly states 14.881 million. And there's not much interpretation going on there because that literally just reads the blockchain, right? And
the number is 14,881,392, you guys. What the Dune thing did, was it essentially automated what we did in Excel by adding and subtracting. Sorry if my video just got out. I just got a phone call. That's
does
all.
that read Etherscan or does that read the blockchain?
No, that reads the blockchain the same way Etherscan
Yeah.
reads the block.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
So
essentially the blockchain explorer. So we can add that as like the fourth or fifth one that has confirmed the existence. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're always talking about code is law and stuff like that. But now that doesn't apply because somebody, Gilbert, the team says there's 14.612. I think that is odd. And that was also the main reason why we are here. Because I love Gilbert and the team to death for what they built and the options that they gave us and the possibilities and such, what they're creating. And yes, Gilbert is a very good source for a lot of stuff. But not even Gilbert can touch blockchain data, right? I mean, he can say whatever he wants, and I trust him with a lot of things. But a blockchain trumps Gilbert, doesn't it?
It does. And again, the 14.612.493, that is what the supply should be based on reallocating per the number of tokens that were sold in the ICO. That is the correct number that it should be. My argument is that the 14.881 of what it is forgot to burn 273,000 tokens. That's what I think. And the calculation was done at that point that we identified in moving those tokens out in between the time of the token generation event and the time of the burn.
Speculation.
That's when you open the speculation at that point.
Could it be that somebody knew the burn would take place? I don't know who had access to that wallet. This is a bit aluminium hat. This is the Quamfy Show bit. But somebody was like, oh, fuck that. They're going to burn those tokens. Might as well siphon some off for myself. That'd be interesting.
I'm not making that claim.
I'm not making that claim either, but I was just thinking, how can it happen that you just misplace 273,000 tokens? I
well,
think it's fascinating.
They weren't misplaced. I'll tell you that. But they were either neglected or forgotten about when doing the calculations. The one thing that I think is kind of interesting here is that I'm looking now that my screen's not lagging, and I'm looking at the wallet that, there was a consistent wallet that has been sent to in these increments over the years. Of course, now it's lagging that I say that. Let me actually, because we're still on Meet, bro, even though I'm not. Can I close Meet? It doesn't.
I closed the meeting.
Okay, I just did. And I need to close OBS. Now my computer should run normally. It does. Okay, so guess what? Guess what wallet this is that these addresses have been sending to?
Founders wallet?
Wow. It is a wallet that automatically sends any inflow it gets. It turns around within 5 minutes and sends to Bittrex. So this is within 4 to 5 minutes, every single one. It sends. So this is a sell. I mean, they're selling these tokens. So that's from one wallet, and then the other wallet. So fucking interesting, dude.
Have they historically been selling on Bittrex?
Yeah.
Okay, they do. So that.
Oh, is that the confirmed place that they sell?
Yeah, they've done for a while. I remember 2020, 2021 a bit. And I believe they're not anymore now. But
they did in the past.
Yeah, that was their go-to, yeah.
Okay, well, it looks like that's one of the wallets. And then the other wallet sent out to a fairly consistent address, and this one also pushes to Bittrex. So they have these so that it doesn't, I guess, set off maybe certain things. They have these intermediary wallets that I'm looking at that, and it looks like they have a number of them. And this one pushes to BitTrue automatically. So they've set up a few different looks like 2 different ones. Here's a third one. Let's see what this one does. This one sends to.
What other tokens are in those wallets? Because Bitrue sounds a little bit degen for the team.
None. This is just wallets just used as an inflow, and then it automatically pushes it out. There's no
and the main wallet, the one where the
and
120.
this one goes and starts, and this one sells on Uniswap. It looks like.
Are there other tokens in those 124K wallets?
Let me check that. Hold on, my screen's getting a little flooded with wallets, so I'm getting lost. Let me start from scratch here. So if I look at 124K received, 124K received, and then I back out to the wallet itself, not just filtered by Quant, I see that one of them holds $55,000 of Aave, about $75,000 of Aave stablecoins, split up between Aave USDC and Aave USDT. So those are gaining interest, and they have about $9,000 of Matic and $3,000 of Uniswap, and then a little bit of some others.
That's not a team wallet.
We don't know that. I don't think that.
No, okay. Would you suspect a company wallet to have a ton of coins in the case?
It's not an identified company wallet. This is a wallet that in 2018 received money from the Quant address prior to the token burn. So in the period of flux, they knew they were going to do the token burn. And in that 3 months, they sent money from their address to random addresses, one of which is, so they're trying to earn interest on Aave. I don't think that's like that. That's like a revenue source for companies that have large treasuries where they can allocate a small portion of their treasury, 2%, 3%, to go try and get yield somewhere. I don't think that's like, I know we think of, I'm not saying it's definitely Quant, but I'm just saying to rule it out, I think is absurd because.
No, that's true.
You have to get creative. And I think just because we look at them as like, oh, they're like, very buttoned up and banking like, doesn't mean that they can't search for yield with 3% of their company treasury.
Nah, but why would you get
as long as they pay tax
on 70K?
Well, that's what it is now. Who knows? That's just what they hold right now. But I'm just saying I think it's a non-zero chance.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Always.
They're just treating it as like a high interest savings account for a small portion of their treasury.
Well, I wonder if the team even knows about these transactions in between, and if they knew, why wouldn't they just include it in the burn? They know that everything is on a blockchain and everything is immutable. It will always be there. Why would they lie? That's just my point. I mean, it's a ton of money in the end, as you stated. I'm curious if they know, if they knew, or if it was actually a mistake and they just went with the numbers in Telegram, like, let's get this done and get it over with.
I don't think. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Tim. Apologize.
No, I'm just trying to process everything you just told us. But at this point, we don't really know. So we did find this piece of information, which is, well, magnificent, if you ask me. I mean,
yeah.
I clearly couldn't do it. And, well, you stumbled upon it. Then Sebastian's models stumbled upon it. But at this point, we clearly see that something is wrong. We just don't know what. And I think Quant also has an explanation here. Or it could also very well be that they don't even know. It's just
So
pure speculation.
Tim, I would argue we do know what is wrong. We just don't know why.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And also, I don't
sorry.
know if they might not owe us that legally or morally. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think they probably don't. And look, here's the end of the day. Here's the bottom line: is like 270,000 extra tokens were used by Quant for whatever, whenever, however. All that did really was it moved it from 6832 to 6733. That's what it did. It changed 1% of the allocation. So big fucking whoop, right? However, I do think it's important, again, that we operate off of the correct number. I don't think we need to like demand answers from Quant. I emailed them. They didn't want to comment, whatever, but I'm still going to put out the right information, because if we're operating off 14612 and I start a fucking business on OVN selling data, and it matters about QNT for liquidity, and I'm using the wrong numbers, then all of a sudden I'm generating less fees, and my business is out of business when it scales or something. Like something breaks. Like we should be using the correct numbers. That's what I think is more important, is that we focus on the 1488, less on the why, because it's really not important. But again, it does drill home: trust, don't verify. Don't trust, verify. Don't trust, verify.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just so weird for a company that is behind Seek, that can literally trace any blockchain to be lying. They know that they will be busted eventually. So I don't know what went wrong here, and it's just
if
very
they're lying
strange.
at
And
all,
it's
right?
one of the
Look, I mean, it
lying.
could literally be this simple. Okay, the Quant team is 5 employees in September 2018. I don't know how many they had, and they're meeting with banks, and this is well into like meeting with healthcare departments and Homeland Security and central banks, and they're really in it every day. Gilbert's taking meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and he forgets about the 14,467. He knows it was the company got 14 something mil, and he's like, all right, we got to do this burn. And he goes back and he says, all right, what do we have? We got 14,114. Okay, that's the number, and we go off of that. And he just was a little bit sloppy. I mean, that's what it comes down to, because I just think it was a mistake. I don't think there's just no, I just can't imagine, Tim's point, this scenario where Gilbert, who's offering to burn 10 million tokens based on goodwill and keeping the faith, and knows and he's the most regulated dude ever, and he understands the blockchain can trace every single thing, and he's going to go and be like, let's just put some on the side for us and not talk about it. Yeah, right. Like he's not. So
273,000 tokens.
Yeah, exactly. I think somebody just made a fucking mistake. And the real question is, like, the only question that I'm really interested in is who owns those 3 wallets, because there's still 7.5 million. There's still a lot of money that's selling.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's not that important, but I'm interested.
I think it's it might be the team, but it might also not be the team. We don't know. It could also be one of their advisors.
It could be anybody, but it is in circulation.
Yeah,
and
that's also the bottom line, right? So there's no new magic wallet with tokens that just got found somewhere. Tokens have always been here. They have always been in some way, shape, or form in the market. So there's no extra dilution.
The error that we got was the wrong. There were not enough tokens burned, and those extra tokens just kind of weren't accounted for. But yes, no new tokens were minted. No new tokens can be minted. No new tokens will be. These were just accounted for and have always been there.
Wonderful.
That's all I got, boys. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me to do this in an open format. where we can kind of explore the blockchain, explore ideas.
Cool, man.
We'll see how it goes.
For sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for doing this, and this should suffice. Hopefully some of the nerds got some value from this.
Yeah, definitely.
I say loving way because I'm clearly that.
Say again the last one.
I said I say nerds in a loving way for anyone listening because I'm clearly that.
Yeah, man, all good. Hey, Tim, do you have anything to add, maybe?
Thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you,
I don't
guys.
have anything to comment. I just don't know. I'm still processing everything.
Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, check out Greg at Greg Lunt. What was it? 27, 32? I always forget.
27.
Greg Lunt 27 on Twitter, and all the links will be in the description. If you have any suggestions for future videos, let us know, and we'll see you on the next episode. Cheers.
Stay Quamfy.
Stay Quamfy.